At some point in our lives, we have been told to find our purpose. Whether you've read it in a self help book, you've taken classes on inspiration, or from motivational speakers, generally the topic comes up: find your purpose, and that is where you will find your happiness. So it's as if it's hiding somewhere. Is it hiding under a rock? Is it in a relationship? Is it in a career change, a transformation? Or maybe it's in the TED Talk that you're preparing to do. Is that where your purpose actually is? And is that where you will find it? So, my concern and what I've been thinking about is this the most dangerous lie that we've been sold? And while we're waiting for all of this clarity to happen, myself included, over the previous years, life keeps happening, technology keeps moving forward, while we are still struggling to find what our purpose is, and if it's lying somewhere that we just can't find. So, here's the thing: the world is not going to stop and allow us the time to figure it out. So, in this episode today, I would like to help you. I would like to help you get clear on what this find your purpose could actually mean in today's world, as we are in the AI era and moving faster and faster forward. So, welcome back, everyone, to a Mindset Medicine podcast. I am your host, Katharine Loucaidou. I am a coach and a speaker, but more than that, I am a person who is just hoping that I can shift your perspective on ideas, on changes that need to be made, on the future that we are entering. If you don't feel prepared, that's what I want to help you do. Every week, I talk about the shifts, both in our mind, in our hearts, that will help you perform, live, and lead at your highest level. This has been my goal from the day I was in the hospital with open heart surgery. I was waiting for my heart attacks to stop happening to figure out why, at 33 years old, I had had 5 consecutive heart attacks in a row within a week, and then I was going in for triple bypass surgery. When you're in a hospital bed at 33 and you're trying to figure out, like, what is going on? Why is all this happening? What I had to learn is that sometimes there are things that we don't understand. And rather than try and control that aspect that we have no control over, what if I could just start thinking about, how can I change? Let me live through this. God, let me get through all of this that's happening to me right now, even though I don't understand why it's happening. And how can I become my best, highest version of myself if I get this second chance at life? That's why I do what I do. So today, we're going to tackle one of the biggest illusions of modern life, and the idea that purpose is something that you find somewhere. And we're going to talk about the beliefs that many brilliant people have, people who are stuck, what purpose looks like in this AI era. Is it different from what we've been led to believe? And how you can start building your purpose and not trying to find it or chase it. All right, this is a really good one today. I hope you will tune in. If you want to grab a piece of paper, go ahead and do so. I always bring in ideas from research, my own experiences, but also what I've learned, because I can take my own experiences, I can take my understanding of what purpose is, and then understand how it's all shifting now. And we need to know what we need to do at this point, because in order to remain irreplaceable In the AI era, we have to shift some parts of our thinking. So, for a long time, I did not know what my purpose was. So, there I was in that hospital bed. Thank the Lord, I was able to recover even though I had a stroke after I got out of the hospital. It's a lot to happen at 33 years old, especially with two small children under the age of 7. However, I got through that. But what I had to learn very quickly was that your mind and your mindset actually dictates everything that you do in this life. Everything. You know, when you go through something as traumatic as I did, what I had to realize is I had two roads that I could follow. We have the road that leads to the pity party, the sympathy, and feeling sorry for myself that this had happened, which I went down, but luckily not for too long. You have this other road that's much harder because you're fighting against your fear. You're thinking to yourself, okay, this could happen again because that's what the doctors told me, but I can either sit here worrying about that or I can keep moving forward and go against it and see if I'm actually strong enough to just keep going and whatever life happens, happens. So often we have these very traumatic, life changing circumstances happen to us, whether it's health related, career related, relationship related, family related, things happen in life. And what I've realized is how we decide to be resilient and just keep moving forward in spite of it all is actually what will determine your next steps forward. So here's what I thought. I thought I was changing my purpose and creating it at that time. Coming out of all of that, and then I decided to open my business. That gave me so much life back. Starting a business from scratch, the ideation of it, the creation of it, and then opening it and then attracting people to it. It was phenomenal. So I knew somewhere in there was my purpose. But what part of that whole thing was my purpose, I wasn't sure. So what happens is somewhere down the road, you start listening to other people and you start listening to other people's purpose for you. So whether it was a teacher that you've had in the past, whether it's a boss that you've had, maybe you've hired a coach and they have an idea for you. When you are most lost, that's when you start seeking help from people. And as well intentioned as people may be, they will steer you onto a course that may not actually be your purpose in life, but you go ahead and you do it because you think to yourself, well, it kind of resonates with what I'm doing. I became a teacher because it's an opportunity that landed on my lap. Luckily, it did because I found out that I was very good at it. I was good at teaching people, I was good at getting results. But there was still something missing. I wasn't feeling challenged enough, so I went and got my master's degree and I became a university professor. I had worked in primary school, then high school, then I moved on to university professor. When you have this drive, this internal drive to keep reaching that highest version of yourself, you will always try to keep challenging yourself, especially with things that are new in life. So, what I realized was in doing that, I still never resonated with the other professors who were so knee deep in their research and everything. I thought, but I don't want to sit in the library. I think I'm meant to be in front of people. And the classroom part I loved. But to sit in a small cubicle and just do research and writing and let those be the only two things and then limited teaching, I wasn't quite sure if that was what I wanted to do. So, move forward, I got into real estate. Now, real estate was very new from being a professor in university. And when we moved back to Canada, that's the profession. I just wanted to change things up. I felt I needed a change. And because I always have a drive to do better and reach the higher levels, that's what I did in real estate sales as well. I just spoke to people like people want to be spoken to, with respect, and I wanted to help them. I wanted to solve their home ownership problems. I wanted to help them invest in real estate because for most people, it is the largest investment they will ever hold in their lives. Basically, all of their equity or savings are in a home that they have. In my experience, in what I've seen, in having done real estate 18 years. So, what I realized though was the manager of the brokerage, he saw that I had a gift for sales and communication and people. And so he started guiding me on his purpose for me. And unfortunately, the way he did business did not align with how I did business. My goal was to be very ethical and transparent with people, and we didn't always see eye to eye. So for me, it turned into, well, but this is not why I got into this. For what you want me to be like in real estate, it just doesn't resonate. So I decided to open my own brokerage. And I was going to run that brokerage based on my values and principles that were important to me, which is what we try and do in life. We bring along our values and principles, and when they don't seem to match where we are, then we have to move on and change. So when I had my brokerage, I also was being coached. And I realized that, again, some of what was being coached, what I was being coached on, just didn't resonate. I didn't want to have a factory line of people who were just calling people endlessly, asking if they wanted to sell their houses. I didn't want to have this long line of agents just on the phones every morning. It's not how I wanted this to be done, because agents were being attracted to my brokerage because I had other ways of connecting with people. And that's what they wanted to learn. So again, I seemed to have this disconnect with what other people who knew more than I did, as I thought, was the way that I needed to be running business. So I slowly changed that as well, because as I began to research more about the strategies of connecting with people, of people being attracted to your brand, branding and marketing became huge for me. I then realized, well, if we just provide people information and education, they will be attracted. So we went down that road. So here's what I'm trying to get at. Sometimes you have to ask yourself, am I following my purpose, or have I somehow been enveloped in someone else's purpose for me? So why is finding your purpose a trap sometimes? Here is the problem with the phrase find your purpose. It assumes that people are static, that we don't change, that we won't have new ideas, that the environment that we're living in won't change. So it's like hiding something somewhere, and we just can't remember which drawer we put it in, what corner we hid it in, because, as for example, you just keep moving house, right? So imagine, as you keep moving house, are you going to keep having the same drawer? You don't. Things keep moving. But the people that I have coached for decades, the ones who feel the most fulfilled, didn't find their purpose, they built it. And that's what I helped them do. Building your purpose from the bottom up in what truly drives you, in who you are. If I were to go back 20 years and I'm in that hospital bed, what I know now is I'm still the person who still has the goal to become the best and highest version of myself. The only difference is it changes in how we will accomplish that. So maybe what we should do is stop waiting for purpose to appear in front of us and start experimenting with it. Because clarity doesn't come before action. It comes because of the action that you're taking. So the more things that you do, the more realization you have and the greater clarity you have. How many opportunities have you ignored over time because you were waiting to feel ready? How many times have you said, once I know my purpose, then I'll start. Once I know why I'm doing this, I'll start. Once I have the whole plan laid out in front of me, I will start. The plan changes as we change. We pick up new ideas. Maybe you go on a vacation and you see something and you think, oh, I could absolutely use that in my plan. So therefore, the plan begins to shift. That's okay. You are not meant to be stuck in the same plan year over year, decade over decade. Stanford's Purpose Path Project found that people who construct purpose through small experiments, trying, failing, and adjusting, report more fulfillment and less burnout. So that's what I mean about building foundation for your purpose, because you try small things. Did it work? Didn't it work? How do I feel? And then you keep creating that scaffolding for your purpose. So it evolves. You don't just create it and then it's done. So before we keep moving forward, let's talk about something that it's a concept. I've mentioned it before in previous podcasts. When I first discovered it, my goodness, it resonated so much with me, called Ikigai. It is a Japanese word. And Ikigai is your reason for being. Think about that for a minute. Your reason for being. It is that sweet spot where four things overlap: what you love, what you're good at, what the world needs, and what you can be paid for. When you are living in the intersection of those four things, that is when life feels meaningful. You wake up with direction and you wake up feeling alive with Ikigai. So let me just reiterate what you love, what you're good at, what the world needs, and what you can be paid for. Is it possible to have those four things together to create this big, beautiful, wonderful life? Yes, it is. So once I encountered that, and I thought to myself, my reason for being, what is my reason for being? I believe that everyone needs a reason for being. That is why people get depressed. That is why people lose track and they go off course, and they look for other ways to be happy. They wait for other people to make them happy. They wait to go on the vacation to make them happy. But once you have a reason for being, all of those external things are no longer what makes you happy. It's what you yourself are deciding to work on every day. So here is what I have come to understand, that Ikigai is not a destination. It's not that thing you need to find. Sure. It is something that you evolve into. How do you know what you love? You've got to try things. You try one thing, it doesn't work. It's not a failure. It just doesn't resonate with you. So you find something else and you try that and you experiment. And if that doesn't resonate with you, that's okay. Go on to the next. The problem with failure is that you stop and you don't continue your curiosity to keep moving forward. In today's world, especially with AI now, our Ikigai, our reason for being, has to evolve because the world needs change. And our skills inevitably will also have to expand. Sometimes the way that we express our purpose has to be updated so that we can survive, so that we can adapt and keep moving forward and not get lost or held back because we were so stuck on what we thought we were meant to do. So maybe instead of chasing the one purpose we think we were meant to have, we should learn to stay curious about how our purpose is evolving. What if your Ikigai, your reason for being, is shifting right now and you just haven't noticed it? You're feeling uncomfortable. You feel a little bit lost. You know you want to be doing something different, but you don't know what that is yet. Maybe you've come to a point in your job that you just don't resonate with it. You just don't really like doing it anymore. It doesn't light you up. You wake up in the morning because it's what you have to do. The idea that there could be something else out there is very scary. Maybe you have the idea that you're too old. And you're too old to change. You're too old to find something different. You are too old to start a business. I heard something a few days ago, and it actually surprised me a lot. So, Warren Buffett. I'm sure you've heard of Warren Buffett. He is one of the wealthiest men in the world. He owns different financial funds that people invest in. He is a person who he is looked up to by world leaders because of his financial knowledge of trends and patterns that happen in the world. But more than that, what I did not know is that he made 90% of his fortune after the age of 55. Think about that for a minute. After the age of 55, one of the world's wealthiest individuals made most of his money. So, what if your Ikigai, your reason for being right now, is evolving and you just need help figuring it out what that looks like next? We have all had seasons where our purpose in life was very solid. So maybe you have small children and you are raising them. That is your purpose. Maybe the purpose is I need to work and I need to work a lot so that I can build for my family, for our future. Maybe you're building for a house. Whatever it is, We have seasons where we change what is important to us and the reason why we're doing what we do. Growing our business, kids growing up. But what happens when those scenarios start to change? What happens when the business that you were building fails? What happens when the kids have grown and gone to university? All that you've been working for, now they're gone. They've gone to pursue their own life now. What if the relationship that you were in just no longer fits for either of you? Then what? It's okay. Things evolve in life. They're meant to. They're not meant to remain static. Viktor Frankl wrote one of the most famous books called Man's Search for Meaning. And he said that meaning isn't found in comfort, it is found in response. Meaning isn't found in comfort, it is found in response. So maybe the real question isn't, what is my purpose? But how am I responding to what life is asking of me right now? How am I responding? A study in the Journal of Positive Psychology found that people who define purpose through external validation, what I was talking about earlier, other people's idea of your purpose, they experience higher burnout and anxiety than those who define it through experimentation and contribution. I think I wholeheartedly agree with that. Purpose without autonomy becomes pressure. So if you are moving through life defined by what other people believe is your purpose, that is when you will begin to feel anxiety, depression, and feel as though I don't know what I'm meant to do. Why am I here? Have you ever asked yourself that question? Why am I here? I know I've asked myself that after all of the heart surgery and the heart attacks. Why was I spared? Why am I here? What am I meant to do? So this is interesting because now I'm going to bring AI into the picture. And let's see how this begins to shift. AI can do a lot of things for us. And I've talked about this in previous episodes, but let's talk about it now if it's the first time that you're listening. So AI can write for us. It can design. It can analyze. It can create almost anything that requires an idea, some brainstorming. It's going to do it from information that it gathers throughout the entire World Wide Web. Anything that's been published, it gathers it all. And then based on its reasoning, based on the questions that you're asking, based on the conversation you're having with AI, it will form an answer for you. You can also manipulate that answer by asking it to provide it through a perspective. So, for example, and you might want to try this out, it's a little wild, but let's say that you were asking for information on what is something on motivation. Okay. So let's ask AI to give us information on motivation, how to stay motivated. Okay. It's going to give you the perspective on its first research across the internet. If I go back into the AI and I say to it, I would like you to give me motivational advice, but you are now Cleopatra, Queen of Egypt. From her perspective, now tell me about motivation. It will go back and it will now give you the motivational advice from the perspective of Cleopatra, Queen of Egypt, and how it interprets what her character was like back then. You can also ask for that motivational advice from Einstein. Imagine you are Einstein. Provide me motivational advice from his perspective. This is where AI becomes highly fascinating. And if you've never tried to do little experiments like this, you should, because that's where you're going to see that it's really interesting how perspective can change based upon the context that you give it. So, as we're talking about AI now, people who thrive in this new AI era won't be the most efficient ones because AI will do all those tasks for them. They will be the people who are the most expressive, the most empathetic, and the most human. So that's why I created my course, The Irreplaceable Human Intelligence, because we have a gift as humans. If you've watched my episode where I did it with Katharine AI, my clone, and I ask Katharine AI about the gifts of human beings, she says the same things. Empathy, emotion. That's what we have that AI doesn't. But how are we going to use that moving forward? MIT finished a study at the end of 2024. Now, I imagine they'll probably redo it in 2025 because, as we know, things have been progressing at such a fast rate this year, particularly, and as we move forward. But MIT's 2024 AI and Work report found that professionals who use AI to extend their creativity, which is how I use it, not just to automate tasks, not just to look up recipes or use it as Google, report 30% higher job satisfaction. They feel more purposeful because they're using technology to amplify meaning, not replace it. So, what if your purpose isn't about what you produce anymore? The tasks that you're doing, that daily grind that you've been doing for all these years. What if it is your empathy, your discernment of what's right, what's wrong, your ability to make someone feel seen and heard? All of these qualities in you that maybe you've taken for granted all these years because you were so busy doing things. What if we just go back to you? You as the human being, you as that character and personality. What if that is going to be your greatest advantage moving forward? So, how do we begin creating our purpose as we keep moving forward in the AI era? So, I've got 3 R's of your irreplaceable purpose. Number 1, reflection. Look back at moments that have made you feel most alive. This has helped me greatly. When I'm standing on a stage and I'm speaking to 1,000 people in a room, that is when I feel most alive. I know that there are people out there who think, oh my God, I would never do that. I could never do that. But when I'm up there, I feel alive. So look back on times in your life that made you feel alive, not successful, not accomplished, but alive. What were you doing? Who were you being? Those are your clues. And when I say who were you being, were you taking on the role of someone, right? Were you wife or mother or husband? Were you businessman? Were you doctor? Were you lawyer? Were you in a role or were you you? when you were most alive? That's going to give you a huge clue. Number 2 is relevance. So the second R is relevance. Where do your natural strengths meet today's human needs? Is there an overlap? So do you find you have a really great strength of communication? If you do, then how can that be brought forward into this new AI world? Creativity, writing that is different from the way AI writes. Maybe it's listening. Maybe it is strategic thought. I don't know what your natural strength is, but I know you do. It's that thing that you do that doesn't take a lot of effort. And it's probably, if you were to ask people around you what your greatest strength is, they're going to tell you what it is, even if you may not have realized it. So why don't you ask? Ask your partner, ask your kids, ask your friends, ask anyone who knows you. What do you think my greatest strength is? Number 3, the final R is reinvention. How can you express reinvention? How can you express yourself in a new way through AI, maybe through a new role, maybe through a new environment? Have you ever thought about this? If you weren't doing what you do right now, what else would you do? If you close your eyes right now and you are sitting in a chair, maybe you're lying in bed, maybe you're just walking, what else do you envision yourself doing? If there were no rules, if there were no necessities for education or a higher education, anything like that, what is something else you could see yourself doing? Maybe you don't need a new purpose. Maybe it's just a new expression of what you've already been doing. You're just reformulating what you've been doing for the next era that we're going to be in. So here's a little exercise for you. If you stripped away every role, every title and achievement that you have ever experienced, what remains that still makes you useful? So the easiest way to look at this is I want you to take yourself, put you somewhere different, a different country, a different continent. No one knows who you are. No one cares about your title. No one cares about the roles that you've previously done. And no one cares about your previous achievements. If all of that was stripped away and you were in this new location, what would you do? You can do anything you want. What would you do? That is the seed of your purpose. Let me share a few examples. So, a client who left corporate life and built an AI assisted coaching practice that aligns with her passion for developing people. So, she worked in development in a corporate environment, moved and created an AI coaching practice, and is still developing people. A parent who rediscovered creativity through art after years of focusing solely on family. I have pivoted a lot. I have moved from teaching, entrepreneurship, real estate, coaching, speaking. I wrote a book, still coaching, doing a podcast. But what do they all have in common? do you know what they all have in common? Communication with people, helping people to find new perspectives, helping people to realize what they want, their potential in life. And if you look at every single thing that I've done, they all have elements of the same thing. So I will always bring that forward with me into every role that I do because it's just innately in me. None of us found purpose. We constructed it. We just didn't realize it. We experimented with it. We adjusted. We evolved. And if you haven't got there yet, it's because you haven't allowed yourself to. So, if you are thinking right now, as you're listening to me, what if I'm too old? What if I've already tried before and it didn't work? What if I don't have the ability to do that now because I have to work in what I'm doing to make money, to pay my mortgage, to pay my bills, to pay my rent? I get all that. But I'm still going to tell you their excuses. I'm going to be straight out honest with you. And I'll tell you why. Because I have had to do all of those things. And yet I still managed to find ways to what's the word I'm looking for? To still hone what I believe is my gift. And I did that by finding jobs and finding roles that helped me to do that. I too have had mortgages and rent and kids and their education and my own education and food and all of those things to pay for. But we all decide how we're going to do it. That's all. And how brave we're going to be to go ahead and do it and move beyond our fear, because it's just fear holding you back. Fear and uncertainty. These two things will ruin people. Fear is just a word. It's a figment of your imagination. It doesn't actually exist. You have created it in your mind. What you fear, other people may move toward because they want to see what's on the other side of it. So what if today you begin to realize that fear doesn't actually exist? You created it out of scenarios that you've created in your mind. We do it in health. We do it in our jobs. We do it in our relationships. And it destroys us because these things most often don't even come true to the extent that we thought they would. So, if you are still breathing, you can still contribute to your purpose. If you are curious, then you are still evolving in life. I don't care what age you are. 80, 90, it does not matter. I tell my husband all the time, I am going to be like this till my last dying breath, because I'm here to take in all of it until the day I actually die. Because I've already been on my deathbed once, and I still managed to get out and keep moving forward, which is why I have this massive belief in people that even if you think that this is it, it's not it. It's not it. So if you are still listening to me right now or watching and you haven't given up, please search for that meaning, who you are, what you want in life. And you are not too old. You have not passed the point that you could do something, whatever you want, and whether it's for money or not. Finding your purpose isn't financially related. It's about what it does for you inside. That's what your purpose is. Does it light you up? Does it make you feel alive when you're doing it? That's what we're looking for. That is what brings us to longevity in life. I'm going to go back to the word Ikigai. And do you know why it attracted me so much? Because the Japanese don't allow a person to retire unless they know their Ikigai, because they want everyone in the Japanese society to feel like they have a purpose in life. Because if you have a purpose in life, then you're going to want to keep moving forward. That is what will add years to your life. And although this isn't in my notes, I'm going to tell you something really fascinating that I read yesterday, and it's just come out. So there is this amazing human being called Ray Kurzweil, and Ray Kurzweil has been predicting AI since the 1960s. He has been involved in technological companies and Google, and he's a brilliant man. So what he said was, by 2032, every year you live past 2032, you will gain back a year because of the way AI and medicine are going to collaborate to extend people's lives. So when I tell my husband, be careful because I'm going to live to 150, as long as I can get to 2032 in good health, I will gain a year of my life back every year after 2032. So think about that. So let's wrap this up, shall we? Let's wrap it up, but don't go anywhere because I want to just pull it all together. Purpose isn't something that we find. It is something that we build through how we love things, how we learn things, and how we show up. Even when everything around us is changing, we are still intact because we know what's driving us. If this conversation has stirred something in you, has made you start thinking about what all this looks like or could look like for you, if you have a quiet voice that is saying to yourself, I'm ready. I am ready to discover who I am in this next AI era, because I know everything's going to be up and down and crazy, but I'm ready to figure out who I am. I have created the AI identity audit for you because I want to help you discover these things about yourself. So I have put a link under the podcast that click on it and you can just take the AI audit, see what it says. It's based on research. It's based on experience. Maybe it's going to start pointing you in the direction that you've been thinking about. Maybe it's been at the back of your mind and it's going to renew some ideas that you had in your mind about you, who you are, what you want, and what actually might be the direction that you should be moving forward in. Whether or not it is job related, whether or not you are 40 or 80, it does not matter. You might want to take this and just see. There's no harm in just checking out what your identity will be moving forward in this AI world. It is free, it is fast, and it'll help you see your skills, maybe the stories you've been telling yourself, the strengths that make you irreplaceable. So again, it is under the link of the podcast. If you're listening, it's going to be under the link if you are watching this YouTube video. If today's episode resonated with you in any way, please share it with someone who you care about, and maybe it'll resonate with them as well. Maybe you know someone who's really been thinking like, I don't know if I should be doing this anymore. I don't know if I want to be doing this. Maybe if there's someone out there who's just not feeling very happy right now with where they're at, share it with them. Maybe it'll give them a new sense of fire, a little sparkle, a little spark to keep things moving forward. I am Katharine Loucaidou. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Mindset Medicine. And I will see you again next week. And let me know how you did with your AI audit. I would love to hear about it. And make a comment. If you found any part of this episode interesting, even one little nugget, write it below in how you're going to change something that you've been doing. That's what I really thrive on. Bye for now.